All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? We're back, Thursday edition of the NBA show here. We got 8 games on tap tonight. I got my guy Hoop with me as always. Hoop, Tambo, and Title broke down the NFL Showdown game tonight. Head over to Mayo Media Network, check out that show, go through it, find all the winners for tonight. Pretty gross game, but I think there's still $300,000 up top, so should still be a good one to ship all the money there. We've been crushing in the NFL streets, been printing in the NHL streets as well. Obviously, I had that up. Our guy Laid the House just continues to smash every sport. Last night, shipped the NHL Minimax last night with score over 200. So congrats to Laid the House. Absolutely been crushing over there. Our projections continue to be locked in for every sport. And if you are not a member yet, head over to shipitnation.com to get access to those premium projections behind the paywall. We got weekly, we got monthly, we got 6-month, and we got annual. 4 different packages to choose from. You get in the Discord with all packages besides the weekly package, best part of the community. If not, just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Hoop, I'll bring you in, man. How we doing? Happy Thursday. What's going on? How was your Christmas, man?
Yeah, Christmas was great. Obviously busy with all the sports going on, family stuff, kid stuff. So back to a little bit of the grind here. Did the NFL show, like you mentioned, in game not the greatest, but the prize pools are big. Jets, Browns. So we did that show. If you haven't checked it out, make sure to get over to Mayo Media Network and check it out. All our content is starting to pop up for that slate. All our content starting to pop up for the NBA slate as well. And one thing we always say, we get our content up nice and early, so you're able to digest it. You got any questions, you can get in the Discord as well. But the early content is a commitment that we've made to our members and any future members, and we're going to hold true to that. So everything will be up early for all the slates today.
Yeah, we get our content up early. I had the NHL slate plan up and live before 1 p.m., I believe. So check that out. We got obviously projections for all sports as well, included with SHIPIT Nation. So we got you covered with everything. Let's say hi to a couple guys in our chat. We see the GOAT, Hebrew Cheetah, our guy over here that continues to smash NBA each and every night, posting the slate plan. Again, another premium piece of content. But we got a guy Newens in here, Takedown, Marquee, all these guys, Donnie in here, M the Great, Danny. What's going on, y'all? If you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump right in, Hoop. And this first game on tap is one of the biggest spreads I've seen in quite some time in terms of the NBA streets. It's your so-loved Detroit Pistons. I mean, these guys, I don't know what the frick is going on. They should have won the other night, had many chances. Cade Cunningham, I said, was going to nuke. Put him in my core, liked him a ton, put it in the Discord. He went absolutely bonkers, but didn't get the job done. They continue to lose, haven't won since it feels like the Declaration of Independence has been signed. Actually, since you've been in attendance, 17-point spread here, 232.5 is the total. Boston at home. Tatum, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Porzingis. But again, these starters, man, their minutes are not secure. 17-point spread here. Might lose a rotation or two if this game does blow out. Won't typically build for blowouts too much, but this is a spot, man. It's hard to see Detroit competing in this game in Boston here. If they do compete, I think it's definitely on the back of Cade Cunningham, who obviously just went nuclear against Brooklyn. Think he'd be fine maybe as a low-owned piece. Derek White I have a little interest in, but outside of that, really not getting to any of these pieces. They're priced up here and massive spread. But do you see something I'm missing?
Yeah, well, I can tell you the last game they won was actually exactly 2 months ago today, October 28th. Went down there for the wife's birthday, and we celebrated the Pistons' victory, and there's not been one since. So 2 months ago to the day was the last time they won. And unfortunately for them, their next win is not going to come tonight, because this is probably one of the worst spots – every spot is bad for the Pistons. But on a massive losing streak going into Boston – it's going to continue. It's probably going to continue in a big way for fantasy purposes. Makes it somewhat difficult. You just don't see spreads this big in the NBA. It's sitting at 17.5, and Boston's a team that'll just make you pay for your mistakes. Pistons, well, they're likely to have a lot of mistakes tonight. So, Tatum, not going to really get to him. If I was going to get a piece, though, it would be some of these cheaper guys. Our projections like Drew Holiday, Derek White, I think they're fine options. And again, the Pistons spot is just so bad. Like, I just don't want any of these guys. So really, for me, it's only a couple plays. I mean, it's just going to be Drew Holiday and Derek White for Boston, and not in love with these guys by any means. I mean, if I'm hand building, I'm not playing anyone from this game. But if you're building multiple lineups and you think, Boston they're projected to score 100 and over 125 points. So like, even in a blowout, a couple of these guys are going to get there. If you're building a lot of teams, though, like Drew and Derek White, I'm fine with, but I don't really see myself getting a lot of Tatum and no Pistons. Like I said, I can't do it here.
Yeah, single entry 3-max, which typically I play in NBA. I don't know if I can get to anyone in this game. I think my favorite play is Derek White. Jaylen Brown is obviously not in for Boston here. I think in MME, right? Tatum under 10K with no Jaylen Brown, I think is fine here. Gets a good matchup, obviously, against Detroit. Drew Holiday draws the best matchup. I think I just prefer Derek White over Drew Holiday. He's a little bit more expensive. And I just like him a lot here. So he's my favorite piece. I low own Cade Cunningham just for a ceiling, right? You could see a guy like Cade Cunningham, if this game does stay close and doesn't play to what the spread indicates here, it's got to be likely on the back of Cade Cunningham here. Jalen Duren's been good since he's returned back from injury, but draws a very tough matchup here with Porzingis and Tatum inside. Boston has allowed, I believe, the fewest points in the paint since early December, I believe. So not getting to him. It's really Cade Cunningham and Derek White for me. But again, single entry 3-max stuff, I just don't think I can get to anyone in this game. Let's jump into another game here. We got injury news in this one. Tyrese Halliburton is questionable. Obviously, that's a big piece of news because if Halliburton does miss, right, guys like Nembhard, Nesmith, Buddy Hields, Benny Mathurin, all these guys get boosts, right? If a guy like Halliburton misses. 236 over under here. Chicago 2-point dogs in this one at home with Indiana. Got to talk about it. Drummond, right? Drummond priced up to 7.5 now, but again, he's going to start now with Vuce out. 7.5, I mean, still arguably too cheap for Drummond here. Not the greatest matchup against Miles Turner and the combo of Miles Turner and Jalen Smith, but man, he looked great last game. Can you get back to a guy like Drummond, which obviously this is a much tougher matchup than Atlanta? Kobe White, DeMar DeRozan. Where are you going in this game? There is a lot of ownership going to these Bulls. Drummond in particular, DeRozan looking to get a lot of ownership. And then Jalen Smith on the Pacers looks to be getting a lot of ownership right now as it stands.
Yeah, so with the Bulls, I mean, they're going to get some ownership here, a little bit thin. Andre Drummond, man, it's been the case with Drummond forever. Like, if he gets the minutes, he's going to produce fantasy-wise. He has so many different ways of getting there. The putbacks, the easy baskets, the rebounds, the steals, the blocks. He just does it all, and he showed he still has it in him, playing 38 minutes. So he's going to play a lot of minutes. The opportunity is going to be there. Obviously, do I think he goes for 24 and 25? Like, hell no. Like, I don't think he's going to do that, but he doesn't need to. He's 7,500. If he gets us 45, 50, which is, I think, very in the realm of possibilities, that's good enough. So definitely in on him. The Kobe White at 8,100 is a little more difficult to get to, starting to slow down a little bit. I just don't think I can get there. I do have some interest in DeMar DeRozan at 8,300. So it'd be like Drummond and DeRozan would be my two favorite Bulls. And then on the Pacer side, it's just contingent on what happens with Halliburton. Now, if Halliburton's in MME, I want some Halliburton because, man, I know I'm going to have a lot of Drummond. I'm going to have some DeRozan. I want something on the other side, and the best guy on the other side, fantasy-wise, is clearly Halliburton. If he plays, he's got the big 60, 70 fantasy point upside. Now, if he's out, Nembhard, Nesmith, Hield all become, much better options. This game is 30 minutes after lock. I imagine that we have it. And I want to be in on, the Bull side for sure, which means I want to have some of these Pacers. I'm fine playing a little bit Jalen Smith, which, if you are playing Drummond, it's hard. You're basically filling your utility spot going with a guy like Jalen Smith. But Drummond, DeRozan look strong to me. And then the Pacers side, definitely dependent on what happens with Halliburton.
Yeah, no, Halliburton news obviously is big. I don't mind him at 10-3, right, just for his ceiling alone in this game. DeRozan does get a good matchup here in a pace-up spot. He's been playing minutes. I prefer Drummond just because, right, the Pacers have allowed, I believe, 70 points in the paint on average this season. And I see our guy Mike talking about Drummond overpriced. I mean, he's 7,500. He's going to get over 30 minutes here in a spot where the Pacers get beat in the interior. Obviously, the sample size now with Jalen Smith and Miles Turner starting likely back together is limited here. But, man, Drummond just does it all. I mean, last game, right, 25 rebounds, 24 points. He does it all. And, I mean, you could argue that Vucevic in this spot would be like 8.5, right, mid-8s. So you're getting $1,000 discount off of a guy like Drummond who has shown to be a fantasy point producer.
The Drummond overpriced stuff, it's really just because he was only 4,700 last time, and people are like, oh my gosh, these are all, whatever it is, $3,000 more. This is the price, man, and it's probably too cheap. It's too cheap of a price. Anywhere you look in the industry, he's showing up as the best value. Like, he's going to play 30 some minutes. You just really have to take out the fact that he was so cheap last time. It was a clear mispriced, blah, blah, blah. You have to eliminate the fact that he's only 4,700. This is still too cheap of a price. He's not overpriced. He's underpriced on the slate.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Drummond's a great play. Obviously, he doesn't take a rocket scientist. I mean, he's projected for 40. We have him for 46.5 right now at 7,500. I mean, if he hits that, I'm not projecting 38.5 minutes like he got last game, but even if he gets 34, 35 minutes, right, maybe loses one rotation, in this matchup, it's still hard to ignore. I'm team Drummond over DeRozan here. I think I'd be underweight on DeRozan personally. Man, DeRozan killed me. I had a really, really good team the other night when obviously all these Bulls were chalk, and DeRozan and Patrick Williams, man, killed me. So interesting, maybe in GPP's hoop, flop leg spot on Patrick Williams, because obviously he was chalk last game. He's 5.9K. Obviously with no Vuce still in there, no Levine, right? I think he'd be fine. Nembhard has been getting good minutes back to back, 36 and 34 minutes. Hasn't produced very much, but obviously if Halliburton is out, he becomes chalk. If Halliburton plays, I don't hate a guy like Nembhard at 5,500, right? He's getting the minutes. A pace up spot here for Indiana in this game. Should be a good environment. So I don't hate Nembhard. Definitely like Drummond. Those are my two favorite plays. And then contrarian spend if Halliburton plays as a ceiling piece. Jump into the next game here. We got Utah and the Pelicans in this one. Looking at the total, 239 is the total. Pelicans are favored by 8. In terms of injuries, let me just pull it up here real quick. Looks like we don't have anyone, right? Anyone questionable right now outside of Fontecchio. That doesn't really matter. In terms of values and ownership, Brandon Ingram looks to be drawing some ownership here in this spot against the Jazz. He's coming off, obviously, a big game. Last game against Memphis, played 42 minutes. I believe that game went to overtime, if I'm not mistaken. But where are you going in this one? Pelicans and the Jazz.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a tough spot. I mean, the Pelicans, their guys are so much more appealing when there's some injuries, and they have all their key guys: Ingram, Zion, McCollum, and Valanciunas all in. No one. Excuse me, guys. Oh man, your boy's going down here. Sneeze at the worst time. Ingram would be the guy that I go to at 7,800 if I'm going to take a chance on anyone coming off the big game. The nice thing is the minutes are going to be there regardless of who's in and who's out. After that, I'd probably take a chance on McCollum under 7K, but I think there's better spots on the slate. These would be more of like last guy typed in. I don't think I'm really going to be building around Ingram or McCollum, but that would be those would be the two guys on the Pelican side that I have interest in. And then, with marking it in there, I just don't have a ton of interest in the Utah guys. I mean, you look at it, there's like just nobody that's popping up as even like a decent value, like on the slate. So Ingram, then McCollum, not, overly excited, not core plays by any means. Just guys that I'd have in my player pool, and that's going to be pretty much it in this game.
Yeah, I think you can play one of the big three, right? McCollum, Zion, Ingram. I think I prefer Ingram, much like everyone else does right now. Larry Nance might be, I believe, is back for the Pelicans, could cut into Zion's ceiling in minutes a little bit. Obviously, there's a chance Nance doesn't even step foot on the court as well. So be wary of that. I think my favorite play in this game is actually Trey Murphy here. Jazz get killed from 3-point shooters. Trey Murphy looks very good. Should be pretty low owned here, 5,700. I mean, he should get his 34 to 36 minutes here. 3-point shooter. I mean, I don't hate a low owned Trey Murphy, especially in that mid tier if you land there. I mean, a lot of times I'm building teams, I'm landing between 5,400 and 6K. Trey Murphy fits that build there. So I don't hate a Trey Murphy play as a low owned play. Outside of that, I mean, I just don't really like any of these other guys. So it's pretty much Trey Murphy or one of the big three for me from the Pelicans and kind of move on in this spot. Jumping to the next game here. Big news in this one, Dallas, Minnesota. Karl-Anthony Towns is questionable. Obviously, if he misses, that would give a huge boost to guys like Rudy Gobert and then Naz Reid. Maybe some boost to guys like Jaden McDaniels. So touch on that. Where are you going in this one? I'm not seeing a ton of ownership go to this one. 227 is the total, and Minnesota, obviously a very good defensive team here. Dallas on a back-to-back, and it's a 13-point spread here. Where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting on the Dallas side. Without Luka, no one's really showing up as a solid play here value-wise. Either 12-point underdogs essentially. We have the Karl-Anthony Towns questionable tag, which would bring some more of these Minnesota guys in play. He's questionable. He did participate in shoot-around. So, I mean, that's usually a pretty solid indicator. Like, if someone participates in shoot-around, they typically play. So I'm kind of under the assumption now that Karl-Anthony Towns does play. $8,500 is a pretty cheap price tag. I have, I'd say, moderate interest in playing him. The problem is this game is not super appealing from a fantasy perspective. There's not much to look at on the other side. Derek Lively, can we play him? It's a lot of up and down performances. You've got the 25 minutes, 14 fantasy points, 32 minutes, 35 fantasy points. It's just, man, it's tough to really trust him. There's some strong center plays today. We talked about Drummond already at center. There's more to come. So probably not going to be getting there all that much. Karl-Anthony Towns maybe a little bit, and maybe a little Anthony Edwards, but I just really don't have a ton of interest in this game.
Yeah, again, right, with Luka being out, I see some people are talking about the audio issues. I thank you for calling that out. I was using my AirPod mic apparently instead of my actual mic here, so I just switched that. Should sound better now. Appreciate
definitely
calling that out.
Much better.
Yeah. So sorry about that, but yeah, I mean, Derek Lively, right, 5,500. Projecting pretty well, pretty low owned here, but draws a very, very tough matchup, obviously, right? Going up against Rudy Gobert, 5-5, even with Luka out. I mean, their projected lineup for these guys is obviously pretty tough to project right now. I'm looking at Exum, Hardy, Hardaway Jr., Derek Jones, and Derek Lively is kind of what we're projecting for the starters. Obviously, that's what you see there on the screen. Tim Hardaway at 6'6", right? Anytime Luka's out, I think he's fine. I think I prefer Dante Exum over Hardaway Jr. at the $300 savings. Both should be low owned here. Dante Exum just has shown to be very consistent, even with alongside Luka, right? He should get his 33 to 36 minutes here in this spot with no Luka. Doesn't really need to share the ball. He'll pick up a little bit more peripherals than a guy like Hardaway Jr. will, which is pretty scoring dependent. So I definitely like Exum over Tim Hardaway. Derek Lively, I don't know if I can get to him in this tough matchup. There is a lot of good center plays we already talked about. So pretty much for me, it's one of Hardaway or Exum, even in this tough matchup, because they're going to have to play the minutes. And outside of that, really not a ton of interest, which is kind of crazy to say, right? When a guy like Luka and Kyrie are both off the court, it's just a very tough matchup here against Minnesota.
Yeah, it would be funny. The Pacers should go hack a drum. That'd be so funny if they brought that back, because I'm sure his ass still can't make the free throws.
Right, exactly. And I see our guy Newens, man, get out of my head. And Newens is talking about Exum should be the main ball handler. Yeah, he will be the main ball handler of the night. He'll run point guard. Definitely prefer him, especially for $300 savings off of Hardaway Jr. A guy like Jaden Hardy would be fine at 5,300, right? Another scoring guy. I think I prefer Jaden Hardy and Exum both over Hardaway Jr. I think if people go to someone, it's going to be Hardaway Jr. just because we've seen this tale before, right? Anytime Luka's off the court, everyone kind of jumps to Tim Hardaway, and I just prefer the other two guys. Let's jump to the standalone game here at 8 p.m. It's Memphis and Denver. In terms of this one, we're looking at a 224.5 total. Denver 7.5 point favorites. Obviously, John Morant's questionable, which is big news. If he can't go, you're looking at guys like Desmond Bane, right, which would get a huge boost. Desmond Bane's been pretty good at 8-1. He'd become obviously a great play here. Got Jokic at home at 11-3 against Memphis. Talk on that. Michael Porter Jr. seems to be pretty chalky right now, coming off 2 decent games, right? Golden State and Charlotte played 40 minutes against Golden State. Touch on this one, Denver and Memphis.
Yeah, I think there's some appeal here, and it obviously could get better if John Morant were to be ruled out, which, this game is hour and a half after lock. Probably don't, have the news at this point, but the Nugget side seems pretty solid without Aaron Gordon. I mean, Jokic at 11-3, if we have enough value, I think he's certainly a strong spend on the slate. Seems likely to get around 60 if this game stays close. Michael Porter Jr., 6,100. I think that's a very fair price tag. He's clearly playing well and benefits with Gordon out. And then Jamal Murray would be the third in line for me on the Nugget side, but interested in him. These guys are just steady minutes and steady production. I mean, you look at it, 32, 34, 33, 33, 41, 57, 50, 43. So I want exposure to these Nuggets for sure. If Morant were to be ruled out, then you get the nice run backs as well. Desmond Bane would get a big boost. Marcus Smart, guys like that. Jaren Jackson would bump up a little bit. So the nut situation would be Morant to sit out, and then we can play both sides of this game pretty heavy. This would be one of my more favorite games, I'd say, on the slate if Morant were to be ruled out. If Morant's in, I'll keep in the player pool because I do want some of these Nuggets guys. So it's kind of where I'm at on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we got Peyton Watson here projected decent right now, I think, as a value play. I'm seeing him as a fine value play. He got 21 minutes last time out against Golden State on Christmas Day. He's been playing right around 20 minutes, 3.8K. He could definitely do worse here in this spot. Obviously, he should get blowout run too if this game does blow out. I don't think he's a terrible play, but, man, I just don't know if the ceiling is there. I definitely like Jamal Murray here in this spot against Memphis. And then if John Morant is out, Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart become 2 great plays here. John Morant plays, I don't think I get to many of these, if any of these Memphis pieces personally. Justin Holiday, I think, is another pretty chalky value play, 3,200. I don't know if I can click a Justin Holiday. I mean, 23, 27 minutes, 25. I don't think he's surpassed 32 DraftKings points combined in all about 70 minutes, 75 minutes. Touch on Justin Holiday. What do you think? Because I'm seeing about 30 to 35% ownership on a guy like Justin Holiday here.
Yeah, well, it's just the nature of the slate where we just don't have a ton of value options that are expecting him to play minutes. The floor is super low. The floor is in the single digits, which is risky. 32% ownership is very, very high, obviously. So there's a ton of risk here. It depends what you're doing with your lineups. Are you trying to get a lot of Jokic? Like if you are trying to play some of these high-end guys, you might have to take the risk. I'm not opposed to playing him, but obviously the ownership is where it's an issue. You don't want to play like a cheap guy that's going to be super popular. So fine to play him, but man, it's definitely not my favorite play.
Yeah, definitely not mine. I'm definitely team Watson over Justin Holiday here. Get a little bit of an ownership discount there. He is obviously a little bit more expensive, but that's I think we broke that game down pretty good. Let's jump into the first 9 p.m. game here, the Spurs and Portland in this one. Looking at the total in this one, 236, right? Portland 5-point favorites here at home. And we got to talk about this Portland side, right? Because Ayton obviously is out. You got Duop Reith here, who continues to absolutely smash. Obviously, he's coming off a massive game where he played 32 minutes, where he drew the start right with Ayton out. Anytime he gets the start, he seems to produce, and he's sub 4K at 3.8K there. Got to touch on him. You got Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Malcolm Brogdon. All these Pacers seem to be getting ownership here. Touch on them. And then on the other side, right, I mean, you got Victor, low-owned Victor, right, who always has a ceiling. He's sub 9K still, has coming off 2 down games, right, back-to-back. You got Devin Vassell at 7K flat. Where are you going? Portland and Spurs here.
Yeah, really good spot for these Portland guys. Anthony Simons at 8,200. I like him. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of minutes on the court and a lot of shots, which is ideal for fantasy scoring. I think I'm good with Scoot Henderson. That price is very nice. All right, there's a little saying for Tambo. If he was on the show, he'd be very excited about that one and proud of his boy for coming up with something that rhymes. But Scoot Henderson, 5K, good price, in on him. And then Reith, like you talked about, 3,800 should be popular tonight, but for all the right reasons. I mean, he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's been productive in these spots. I think he's a clear play. Now, the problem is not the problem, but if you want guys on the other side here, if you're looking to play a lot of Portland, you want some San Antonio guys, it's not fun when you start trying to pick out these pieces. With Wembanyama in, there's just not enough to go around for these other guys, and it seems like they remain relatively priced up. So it's like it's Wembanyama and nothing else really for me, and that would just be in tournaments at very low ownership. Like keep them in the player pool, that sort of thing, but not overly excited for them. But again, in teams where I'm heavy Portland, I want something on the other side, it would be him. But Simons, Reith, and Henderson look like strong options here tonight.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, Moses Brown is going to start again. My apologies. But again, Moses Brown played 15 minutes. It was a lot of Jabari Walker and Duop Reith. I'm going to proceed as Moses Brown isn't in play for me, even with the start. His minutes are just not secure. I mean, probably 14, 15 minutes. Again, I don't see him playing over that. They really like Duop Reith here. Off the bench, and then Jabari Walker. I prefer both Jabari Walker and Reith over Moses Brown. Definitely like Reith over Walker as well. Victor Wembanyama, his minutes have been a concern here. Obviously 22, 24 minutes, right? The Spurs, you never know what Pop's going to do with these Spurs minutes. He should get a full type. He should get more minutes here tonight and then probably takes tomorrow off on the back-to-back. I think he's fine in GPPs. Anthony Simons has been smashing. So I really like Anthony Simons here on the Portland side and Duop Reith. On the Spurs, it's just hard to trust these minutes in Pop here. So Anthony Simons, Duop Reith here, and kind of move on. Personally is where I'm looking in this one.
Yeah.
Jumping to the next game here, Miami, Golden State. 227 is the total. Golden State 5-point favorites here. Their Heat are going to be shorthanded, so you got to bring up a guy like Kevin Love at 4.8K here, projected for 33 fantasy points, basically at 4,800. He's going to hit a lot of builds. He projects very well for us over here. Talk about him. You got Podziemski here for Golden State, who's been smashing. He's 5.7K, gone for 40 plus back-to-back games, 32, 34 minutes. Talk about him. And then anyone else in this one, Miami, Golden State here.
Yeah, the anywhere else part is where it gets a little bit difficult because there's just not that many appealing plays in this game. Steph Curry, Bam, kind of on the fringe here, not showing up as solid values. Chris Paul is cheap. Maybe take a look at him. But it's Podziemski for sure at 57. I'll take my chances that he kind of continues to roll, which he has, like you said, back-to-back. Very solid games, 43, 43. And then even the game before that, like he played 29 minutes and got 29 fantasy points. Like that's certainly not the worst at his current price point. So I'd be fine with that. The Kevin Love stuff, I don't know. The minutes are always going to be kind of capped. And I know our projections like him a little bit more than the industry. Tournaments, maybe take a chance. Not overly excited with Love, but Podziemski, 5,700. I'll take my chances that he kind of continues to roll. He'll be, my favorite play in this game. And then, really, there's just not many other appealing plays, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would say, Kevin Love is tough, right? Because he is center only. There's a lot of good center plays. Same thing with Bam, right? With no Jimmy, right? The Heat are going to be super shorthanded, right? No Jimmy, no Lowry, no Caleb Martin, and likely no Josh Richardson. Bam would need, he'd need to crush at that price point at 8,800, which he definitely could. I'm expecting him, right, sub 5% just due to the other centers on the slate. So him or Kevin Love, I think I prefer Kevin Love just at the salary savings there. He doesn't need to do as much. And then should be a ton of minutes to go around here for Tyler Hero and Jaime Jaquez. Jaquez absolutely went crazy against Philly, right, on Christmas Day there, posted 51. Anytime he gets the minutes, he can definitely be a producer. He's 6'3", should get the minutes here with all those guys off the court. They'll need his scoring, so I like him. I like Tyler Hero. Anytime Butler's off the court, right, you got Hero, Wisconsin boy here, fellow Wisconsinite, 8'4" for Hero. So I like Hero, I like Jaquez, and I like Kevin Love. And then I really like Pod here, Big Pod on the Golden State side. He's got a fair price point. He's been crushing. He's doing it all, right? Picking up rebounds. He's picking up assists. He's involved in the scoring, right? Threat for a double-double, potential triple-double as well. So I think there's a lot of plays here from this game. Kevin Love, Pod. Obviously, you got Tyler Hero and Jaquez are kind of the four that I'm looking at in this spot. Let's jump into the last game of the night here. Charlotte and the Lakers. And as always, AD, LeBron remain questionable here. Brandon Miller's questionable on the Charlotte side. Jared Vanderbilt's also questionable for the Lakers side, as well as Cam Reddish here. I expect both Davis and LeBron to play. Davis is projecting very well for us here. Obviously, gets a good matchup here against Charlotte. Should play his 38 to 40 minutes. He's been crushing, right? Just went for 65 on Christmas Day against a very tough interior team in Boston. Now gets a better matchup here against Charlotte. He's 10K flat. Talk on him. You can play him at power forward, which is very nice. Talk on AD versus LeBron. Both of them projected pretty similar. So do you have a preference over one of those guys? And then Terry Rozier, anyone else on the Charlotte side, Cody Martin as a value play as well.
Yeah, I prefer just getting to AD over LeBron. And it is nice that AD is power forward eligible because a lot of centers, like we talked about, are in play here tonight. Now you can play him in power forward, center, forward, and utility. So Anthony Davis, who's been playing really, really well, the 10K price tag is very fair, kind of been going off. And then this matchup is really phenomenal as well. And then LeBron James, 9,800, cool with him. Another guy where I like the positions. You can play him point guard and small forward. So, I mean, in a variety of different spots, a variety of different ways, guard, forward, utility. So 5 different spots you can play him in, 9,800. He's been very, very solid. On the Charlotte side, yeah, Miles Bridges, I'm okay with. Terry Rozier, not overly thrilled with. I don't love the spot here for Charlotte. So, I mean, it's really going to be Anthony Davis, LeBron, and then maybe a little bit of Miles Bridges, but not super excited with that play.
Yeah, no. I mean, Anthony Davis looks really good here for me. The only issue is if the game does blow out, it's a 12-point blowout, 12-point spread here. I think he's fine. I think Cody Martin might draw a start here. He's not projected to start right now, right? But I think he could draw the start here, a spot start. And at 3.8K, if he starts late night hammer here, I mean, I don't hate a guy like Cody Martin. You can play him at shooting guard and small forward, so I like that. I really like Anthony Davis. I'm Team Davis over LeBron here. If you can find the $200 to get up to him. So those two plays. I want to jump back, Hoop, for a second here to this Portland game because Anthony Simons just got a late day downgrade here. So I'm expecting him to sit. Usually midday downgrades, especially this late in the day, isn't very good news here. So got to talk about Scoot Henderson, got to talk about Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Grant, guys like Kamara, Jabari Walker. I mean, there's usage to go around for everyone. Obviously, the two main beneficiaries here would be Scoot and Malcolm Brogdon. I'm Team Malcolm over Scoot, but Scoot is just 5K flat, was already projecting for a lot of ownership. He's had 2 okay games back-to-back, right? He's playing a little better. Was terrible early for a stretch there. So touch on Scoot. Touch on Brogdon because now I'm projecting Anthony Simons to miss this game.
So good, a situation that went from really good for a lot of these guys to potentially like really, really good, great, just awesome. Like this Scoot Henderson is already showing as a good play. Now, if Anthony Simons is out, he's going through the roof. Reith, 3,800, better play. Brogdon, you know, he's the one that's going to come way up into this next tier and become a phenomenal play. Talked about Jeremy Grant would need to do more offensively. So it's like a good situation for a lot of these guys that turns into a great one. This game is 10 Eastern. There's a chance we don't get the news. I don't hate backloading for this news. The nice thing here is these guys are already good plays. If Simons is ruled out, they're great plays. So it's a win-win situation here for a lot of these dudes.
Yeah, obviously Brogdon gets the biggest boost with Simons off the court. But I think it's a sneaky boost as well for guys like Jeremy Grant here, who might get lost in the shuffle at 6'9". And we've seen what Jeremy Grant can do, right? He's shown 50-point upside, and he's 6'9". You don't get sub 7K guy with 50-point upside too often. You take a guy like Anthony Simons, who obviously is the lead ball handler there, taking 20-plus shot attempts every game. It's got to go somewhere. So Scoot, Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Grant, I think all get boosts. I think I prefer Brogdon and Jeremy Grant over Scoot just because I think everyone's going to go to Scoot just at the 5K price point for a good reason. But I really like Reith. I really like Brogdon. I really like Grant now in this matchup against the Spurs, who obviously Jeremy Grant has a great matchup in this one. Reith has a great matchup against the Spurs, and then Brogdon should be the lead ball handler now. So I really like this spot for Portland. Didn't need to touch on that. And that's all 8 games. Hoop, do you want to give a play of the day, or what are we thinking here?
All right, let's pull all this back, see. All right, so play of the day for me is going to be I'm going to go Jamal Murray because I think a lot of people go to Jokic there. A lot of people go to Michael Porter Jr. I think Jamal Murray has a chance to have a big boy game, playing a lot of minutes and been very productive. So Jamal Murray will be the play of the day.
See, I should have, as the host, I should have just said, screw you, Hoop. I'm going first here.
Why? You like him as well?
Yeah, I like Jamal Murray too here.
Yeah.
I'll give the people two guys here. Both should be pretty low owned, both in potential blowout spots here. But I'm going to take a chance. I like Derek White from that Boston-Detroit game. Gets a good matchup against the Pistons here. No Jaylen Brown. I think it's a boost for Derek White. He is just 7'1". He's cheaper than Tatum. So I don't mind a Derek White contrarian GPP play. And then my spend up is Anthony Davis in the late night hammer here against the Charlotte. I think Anthony Davis, even if he loses his final rotation, could absolutely smash here. He's been crushing. If he gets you 30 to 35 minutes here, I think he absolutely nukes Charlotte here. He's going to get a little bit more ownership than a guy like Derek White is, but I'll give you two, a little combo pack. Derek White, Anthony Davis. I like both of them. That's going to do it, though, for this 8-game NBA slate. As always, if you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All of our content, core plays, our ceiling rankings, our projections, everything will be updated. I think it's a nice slate to backload a little bit. There's some juicy games, right? That Portland-San Antonio game just became a lot juicier with that Simons news. You got the Miami, right? Shorthanded Miami pieces with Jaquez, Tyler Hero. Guys we already talked about there. That Charlotte-LA game, I think you can pull some plays from. So I don't mind a little backload here. Get your NFL lineups in and definitely build around these late games here is kind of how I'm approaching this NBA slate. But good luck tonight in your contest. For Hoop, I'm Nadesify. Hope to see those SHIPIT Nation logos at the top. Let's ship it.